The Battle of Ohio is this week. The Bengals have to pick up an AFC win, have to pick up a division win. Ron's away doing something super secret. I don't really know what's going on. So we're going behind enemy lines tonight. We're going to bring in Chad, one of my good buddies who is a Browns fan. We're going to get to see how they're feeling about the matchup coming in because both of our seasons haven't started the way that we thought that they would. So we're going to go ahead and get his perspective on that. That is coming up next on Cincy Unfiltered.
Yo, boys are ready to go. You already know. Grab a garage beer, let's flow. No filter needed, beers getting deleted. It's the Cincy Unfiltered show. Let's go. Boys are ready to go. Boys are ready to go. You already know. Grab a garage beer, let's flow. No filter needed, beers getting deleted. It's the Cincy Unfiltered show. Let's go. Boys are ready to go.
It's just me right now. Ron is doing something that I don't know what the hell's going on with. So I'm doing the game preview show by myself, but we got a special guest coming on. It is the Thursday night game preview show. This is live for members on our YouTube channel only. If you're not a member, you can go ahead and click the button. I'll get you custom emojis, a little badge next to your name in the chat so we can see your comments every time. And then you can see the game preview shows live as we record them if you would like. For everybody else, this will be on our YouTube channel tomorrow at 10 a.m. And as always, this show is brought to you by, oh, kind of messed up, the crisp, refreshing, delicious garage beer. I went with the regular on our recap show on Tuesday. I'm going with the lime tonight. My wife is in the chat. We need a Houday sticker. StreamYard doesn't show the logos, but it's on there in the YouTube chat if you're there. So that's always good. So before we get started, shout out to Garage Beer for keeping the lights on. Delicious. Beer-flavored beer, as we've told everybody. And if people ask me where to get it, if you're in the Dayton, Cincinnati area, you can get it at Kroger. But if you're in a different area, you can go to www.drinkgaragebeer.com. They actually have a beer finder. You put in your zip code, it'll tell you what bars, restaurants serve it, and what stores you can buy it at. So you can go to drinkgaragebeer.com. Find out where to get that delicious, crisp, beer-flavored beer. And we also pass it out at tailgates. I've got so much of this shit in my house. And I'm going to take it to tailgates on Sundays. I'm going to pass it out to you guys just like we did before the Baltimore game. So we are going to bring in a good friend of mine. We've been friends for like 15 years. He's got shitty taste in football teams, but that's okay. We're going to forgive him for that because we're going to get the enemy's perspective on this game. So I'm going to bring in a good friend of mine, Chad Penrod. You can find him on Twitter at Browns_bleeding. He is Chad Bleeds Browns on Twitter. I know that you're watching the Guardians right now. I know shit's not going your way. But other than that, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Back-to-back home runs from the Yankees, man. You can't help but hate them.
That's rough. Everybody hates the Yankees. I feel like even like Cincinnati people are kind of pulling for the Guardians in this situation because there's not like
they are
football hatred.
That's the thing with baseball, though, man. They start spending all this money buying championships, and it kind of pulls me away from baseball a little bit because it's just unfair. But it is what it is. Guards have had a good year no matter what.
We got Tito in Cincinnati, so hopefully we're playing some October baseball in the near future because it does seem intense. It seems much easier to get into playoff baseball than it is, just 162 regular season games. My wife is in the chat. I'm willing to sell my stash of garage beer. Kay Breezy said $1. She said sold. Ben is here. Let's go. So shout out to all of our members. Like I said, members can see our preview shows live on Thursday nights. Time of that will change depending on schedules. If not, it'll be up tomorrow. So 1-5 Browns, 2-4 Bengals. It feels like old times, doesn't it?
Man, I think if you would have told us both this at the beginning of the year, hey, after 6 games, you'd be 1-5, 2-4, I would have bet my house on it. Like there was no chance.
Yeah,
it's bad our way, man. It can get ugly Sunday real quick.
It can, and it could get ugly for either one of them because I'm going to be honest, like I've told you before, I don't get there's a certain amount of excitement on game day for me every week.
Yeah,
but, man, playing Cleveland, I'm just like, fuck, this might suck. They've had our numbers since 2018. Myles Garrett is an alien. They've got corners that can match up our good receivers and play man. Just a very, very tough game. So been a matchup nightmare. Been a down year for Cleveland, though. Cleveland's offense is having a hell of a lot of struggles. So what's your confidence level going into Sunday? Just with how things have played out with the Watson thing and Amari Cooper traded, but Nick Chubb's coming back. Like, how are you feeling about that?
So I don't know if you knew this or not, but the Browns statistically have a worse offense from the 0-16 year.
The Hugh Jackson days?
Yes, the offense is worse than that year. They're like, I think it's like 0-23 of their last third downs. Like
damn.
It's rough. It's real rough, and I think it's taken out on the defense because, well, they can't stay off the field. I mean, when you can't convert on third down, then your offense just or your defense just stays on the field. So it's been a bad year, man. It's been really bad.
Good news for us.
I'll say this though. I was saying this to you earlier. My confidence was super low. I was numb to it. I was like, all right, we ain't doing nothing. I'm still not confident. But then Nick Chubb drops this letter, like saying he has Cleveland's back. And then now all of a sudden you're getting some offensive linemen back. Now you're getting guys back on defense. And I mean, let's just say what it is. We've owned the Bengals over the last couple years. So, but I also feel like it's a get right game for both teams, because if we don't score first and you guys go down and score and Watson just throws an incompletion, Huntington Bank Stadium now is going to erupt. And it's going to get real bad. It's going to
start motherfucking him.
It's going to get bad. If Chubb can bust off a couple runs and we score first, I feel like it could get bad for you guys. Because
Nick Chubb scoring first.
I feel like the vibes are back. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I feel like it can go either way. Like it's going to be a vibe thing. I almost wish I could make it down there. I can't, but it's going to be a get right game for one of them, I think.
Yeah, my wife says in the chat I wouldn't take her to the game. She calls it sad. If she didn't have plans Saturday night that stopped us from going up there early, we'd probably go up Saturday night. I'm not getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So Breezy says, so you should bet an anytime touchdown for Nick Chubb. It's probably pretty safe. I think if they get anywhere within the 5-yard line, they're going to try to get that guy in the end zone. But I agree with you, dude. Like if the Bengals can get the ball first, go down, score 7 points, and then Watson comes out and makes a couple bad throws. I know it's a volatile situation with Browns fans and Watson right now. I feel like they've been waiting on him to turn it on. They've been waiting on the rust to come off, and it just kind of hasn't happened yet. But I know you guys have had some offensive line issues too, and some of those guys are probably going to be back Sunday. Yeah,
Jed Wills is going to play. Jack Conklin's going to play. They both played last week. Sounds like we're going to get our center, Ethan Posick, back. Batonio. So the only starter we're going to be missing is Wyatt Teller, who Zach Zenner, the Michigan guy, he'll be in for him. Or it could be Michael Dunn. Michael Dunn played really well last week. But it doesn't matter if you don't run the football. I mean, this team has the identity of this team has always been run the football, and they're dropping back 35, 40 times now, and it's just not what they do. That is not a Kevin Stefanski offense. It's 12 personnel, run the ball down your throat, play defense, offense. It's just like Kyle Shanahan's offense that you see in San Francisco. And if they want to drop Watson back 40 times, you guys are going to blow our doors out.
Now, I wish DeJuan Jones was still starting because I banged the table for the Bengals to draft DeJuan Jones when he came out. He goes to Cleveland, looks really, really good. I don't know if it's the Bill Callahan leaving effect or what, but he hasn't looked like the same guy. But Wills and Conklin are going to be back, so it's going to be a little bit tougher for Trey Hendrickson. I fucking hate when Nick Chubb can just run the ball down our throat. And I'm starting to get flashbacks because I think it was 2021. You guys traded Odell midseason?
Yep.
And then you came to Cincinnati and Chubb just destroyed us. I watched that game with you in your basement, and I think I told you, I was like, I don't know why the fuck I watched this. This is awful. This is miserable.
It's weird because Chubb and Myles Garrett tend to have their best games against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. But, yeah, Chubb will run for 500 yards. Somehow Myles will end up with, 2 sacks, but he'll just destroy the game. It's there's players like you see TJ Watt not doubled a lot. Well, Myles Garrett gets doubled and triple teamed every play. And I don't recall the Bengals doing that a whole lot with Myles. And honestly,
they don't.
Yeah. Every other team puts a tackle, a tight end, and a running back on Myles. And the Bengals have to take Myles Garrett out of the equation and make someone else beat them.
Now he's going to move around the defensive line, which is frustrating because he did that thing week 1 last year. Where he's like crossing up Ted Karras, the poor guy, like he's playing basketball out there. But the best offensive line the Bengals have had in the Joe Burrow era is there now. So at least with I'm drawing a blank. Orlando Brown Jr. Jesus Christ, Orlando Brown Jr. and Amarius Mims. At least they're giant people, so it's going to take a little bit longer to get around them. But I'm thinking that Jim Schwartz is probably going to try to match him up on the rookie about as much as he can.
Yeah. Yeah, they move Miles everywhere, like you said. He might be over the center one play, over the left tackle one, or the right tackle the next. And that's just – he's playing a game, trying to get you to move your tight ends, the chip. You guys you guys have started this trend years ago where you move your running back up right behind one of your guards. And I like when they do that because it's just extra protection. And your guys' offensive line, man, has looked really good this year. I mean, I know you guys had it rough last week against the Giants, who they have an underrated D line. That D line is nasty. And
their front is nice.
Yeah, and that was without how do you say his name? Thibodeau?
Thibodeau, I think.
Thibodeau.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, Lawrence was a nightmare for you guys. That is where I'm kind of like, because me and you talk a lot every day, and I told you, I said, I think the Bengals are about to go on a run. I said, because even though the defense is bad, it's hard to keep up with a team that scores 40 points a game. We haven't even scored 20 yet this year. So if you guys get to 40, you guys are going to win probably by 20 points unless our defense plays lights out. But
go ahead.
No, yeah. So I mean, your guys' performance last week, us getting Chubb back, being at home, they got me one more week. I'll say that they got me one more
week.
Week
back in
them again. Yeah,
that's kind of how it happened with the Bengals when they get the win last week, and it's like, okay, it was ugly road win. You got it, but like we're still alive. It's still in front of us. But the Bengals have to pick up an AFC win. They need a division win. They've lost to the Patriots, they've lost to the Chiefs, and they've lost to the Ravens. So like, start looking at tiebreakers and shit that's going to matter come January. Like they've got to get one here. And we've got some numbers I pulled up, or I can pull up, where we can kind of look at the offensive and defensive comparison. We'll start with the most important position on the field, obviously the quarterback. Burrow, 12 touchdowns, 1,579 yards, 2 picks. His QBR on the season, 75.1. Watson, I had to make a picture of him looking sad. It's a fucking Bengals show. 5 touchdowns, 1,020 yards, 3 picks. That QBR is bad. That's 21.7. That's
terrible.
That's not good. So the Bengals have the advantage there. And then we go to total offense. Zach Taylor wearing a hat. Things are always better. 249.7 passing yards per game, 100.2 rushing yards per game. And then they score 26.2 a game. Look at the Browns the Browns offense. They pass for 143 yards a game. They rush for under 100 at 97.2. And then they score 15.8 points per game, which is kind of, to your point, not very good when you look at the fact that they haven't even broke 20 points yet this year. So you see where like the Bengals may have an advantage, but like how much here I guess is my thing with Chubb. I'm glad we're playing him his first game back and not his second or third, because like what kind of workload do you expect him to get? Maybe
10, 15 carries tops. I mean, there's no way he's going to run the ball 20, 25 times. Not his first week back. It looks like Jerome Ford's going to be out, so you're probably going to get a lot of Deontay Foreman. I don't know if they're going to get Pierre Strong ran the ball really, really good last week. But you guys don't have a great defense. And before the year started, we talked about the D tackles. Obviously, BJ Hill played great last week. Sheldon Rankins looked good. So that helps. But if the Browns can get out and run the football, there is nothing worse than watching your team get gashed up the gut, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So if the Browns can pull guards, I think they have a chance. If they try and do this shit that ain't been working with Ken Dorsey, who should have been fired 4 weeks ago, you guys are going to blow our doors off.
Do you think the trade of Amari Cooper is any sign of them maybe going back more toward the Stefanski offense, though? Because I feel like that's their number one receiver, their main deep threat. I know he's had some drop issues and shit like that this year, but like, is that maybe Stefanski stepping in and saying, "Hey, we're going to go back to my shit"?
That on top of Amari Cooper is going to be 31 or 32 years old. The Browns could have won the Super Bowl this year, and Amari Cooper could have had 2,000 yards, and they would not re-sign him. It was never going to happen. They don't play that game where a receiver gets to a certain age and they give him a big chunk of money. That's why they gave him more money this year and gave him all his money up front to, be okay and come play football here, because he was unhappy. He held out of training camp, so that's how they made it right. But yes, to answer your question, you get the best running back in the league back. You have to start running the football. You just showed the stat, 97 yards per game rushing. The Browns have never in years had that. I mean, that's
not the Browns.
It's never been that low. So this whole Ken Dorsey thing, who was terrible in Buffalo, it's just not working. And they tried to fix something that was not broken. Kevin Stefanski's offense has been fine for years. And honestly, Deshaun Watson he didn't look great, but he looked better in it. He had some great games, maybe 4 or 5. He hasn't played that much, as he kind of got going. But you have to be able to run the ball in the NFL. You have to be able to play play action. You have to be able to protect your quarterback. But even then, this because a few years ago it was happening. Zach Taylor was dropping Burrow back 40 times a game, and it's just not how you play good football.
Yeah, hardly ever worked out. No. Somebody said, Chris Ingram in the chat, one of our members says, Ken Dorsey isn't the problem. Tommy Rees is. Is Tommy Rees the Browns quarterback coach? The old Notre Dame guy?
No. I don't think Tommy Rees is. I'm not sure he's I'm not sure he's even.
I'm not too big on the Browns staff, so maybe somebody's confused. Tony says Chubb only runs 15 times, the Bengals will win. Hopefully that 15 times doesn't turn into 150, 120 yards.
I don't think that. I don't think it don't matter. As long as they're running the football, I think they have a chance.
Yeah, it's going to be on the Bengals. It's going to be on BJ Hill to have kind of a repeat performance like he did last week, because he's the main run stuffer. I will say, I think for the Bengals defensive line, I think part of the reason that it looked better last week was, the Giants don't have a great offense. Don't get me wrong. Singletary wasn't there. Malik Neighbors wasn't there. That's like 80% of their offensive production. But the Bengals have bodies that are back now. Like Chris Jenkins is fully active and playing. McKinley Jackson was getting some push, the third rounder that we put all this pressure on. And then you get Sheldon Rankins back. So like they're able to move bodies in again, I think, which is going to help. But it's just, I just have this PTSD of just Nick Chubb just killing us. So I'm hoping they do the snap count and just, maybe just get Watson in some third and sevens, 3rd and 8s, make him drop back and throw, see if Hendrickson can get some push on him. And then hopefully, I don't mean it respectfully, fuck them. Hopefully everything starts to implode and the stadium turns on them in the first quarter and they're getting booed when they're walking off the field at halftime. That's what I'm hoping for. And
it can happen quick, and it's going to happen quick. That's why I say this game's so interesting, man. That if you guys go up 7-0, you get the ball first, and if I'm Zach Taylor and I win that toss, I'm taking the ball. And I'm doing everything I can to go down and score first to make Stefanski feel like he needs to throw the ball early and not set up his run. Because we go down a few incompletions from Watson, that place is going to get loud in a bad way for us.
How many people actually want Jameis? Is that like a real thing? I see some stuff on Twitter, but
Oh yeah. Probably 90%, 95% of Browns fans want to go to Jameis Winston. If not DTR. Don't you got to feed? You're 1-5. You lose this game. They won't, because they're going to stick it out with Watson. But you need to see what you have in guys like DTR. And the reason I think they had traded Amari Cooper, you got a 3rd-round pick and Cedric Tillman. You have to see what he is. You have Thrash, who they just drafted, who's been inactive every game. You got to see what you have in Elijah Moore. You got to see if Jerry Jeudy can be your number 1. He's probably going to be your number 2 because T. Higgins will be heading up north next year.
You fucking stop it. You fucking stop it. I'm so scared that might actually happen. Mulugeta
it.
fucking loves the Browns. We thought the other night, we thought he switched agencies. We're all hyped up. Bengals Twitter's happy. And then 10 minutes later, it's like, yeah, they've been representing him for marketing forever. So it's like, fuck, Mulugeta's still there.
I think, man, I pinned it. I did. I pinned it a couple months ago. I said, if Amari Cooper's not there, the Browns are going to go all in on T. Higgins. And I believe that's even more true now because they were all in on Brandon Ayuk. And Higgins is way better than Ayuk. So
Keep your fucking hands off of it.
I truly believe that's who they're targeting. That's who they're going to target in the offseason. That's going to be the big one.
Oh, my God. We're going to have T. Higgins and Quinn Ewers up there if you guys bottom out? I mean, they're drafting a quarterback, right? If they bottom out.
Oh, yeah. If they're in the top 10, they have to. Me and Austin was talking. Austin, we were talking earlier. What happens if this is worst case scenario, in my opinion? What if the Browns go like 1-8, 1-9, and they're done, and all of a sudden they keep Watson in there and he keeps playing and he's getting better. Because now Conklin's back, and I'm not saying that the line is the reason. I'm not one of those guys. Watson is clearly a problem right now. He's not playing good football. He's playing terrible football. But what happens? You leave him in there, and he keeps playing. He ends up getting better and better and better, and you end up like fucking 7-10 or something like that. What do you do?
That's the old Andy Dalton treatment.
Yeah, what do you do? I mean, you're fucking
in purgatory.
It's that's worst case scenario for me. Either be bad or start getting good.
Tony says Higgins can't move his jellyfish north. There was a whole jellyfish thing. He's got him settled in Cincinnati. He's got to stay. I'm not giving up hope.
They can't resign him, right? I mean, they can, but they would lose some pieces, right? Because Mike Brown don't have the money like some of these other owners to really.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know that they have like a good amount of cap space still. But like it's the guarantees, right? Like,
yeah. And
they're fighting with Jamar Chase right before kickoff of week 1 over guarantees. Like I don't think they're going to give it to Higgins, but I'm not giving up yet. And that motherfucker needs to go to the NFC. I can't play him twice a year. That would hurt too much. But it makes sense too. Jimmy Haslam will be like, "Fuck it, dude. Fully guaranteed. We don't care.
Give him all the money he wants. We're about to build a dome. We need somebody in there."
Yeah. We're gonna have a dome. Yeah. Bengals are talking about a dome. Everybody says we're soft, we suck, and then Cleveland's doing a dome. Nobody's saying anything.
You have to.
Domes are the one.
Bro, I don't look at my Twitter just a little bit ago. I posted 2 years ago that game with the Saints where people couldn't even breathe. It was so cold in there. And that was the Saints, who's a dome team, came up from Louisiana, beat us. There's no advantage. So why not just play in good weather?
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. And you're looking at a team like the Bengals, who everyone knows they may not have the cash of some other teams. Taylor Swift came into town. They made a bunch of money off that. Even though they don't own the stadium, they got money from that. So it's like, if I don't want the Bengals to leave downtown. I know Cleveland is going to Brook Park, which is a half hour or so away from Cleveland.
I've heard 15, 20 minutes, something like that. Hey, it's closer to me. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, it's closer to you, and you can take your kid to a game now.
Right.
You know? She can chill in the dome.
Absolutely.
Do it. If they can find, I don't know how the fuck it works. I'm not an engineer. I'm not near smart enough to even guess how this works. If you can put a dome on Paycor Stadium, I'm all for it, dude. Dayton's been hosting NCAA tournament games for like 8 years. Like Cincinnati's more equipped to handle it than Dayton. So like I'm all for it.
Right.
The last comparison graphic that I had is our defense. We can kind of go into the Browns defense is compared to the Bengals. The Bengals give up 210 passing yards a game. The Browns give up 196.3. The Bengals give up 146 on the ground. That's a problem. Browns give up 137.3. Excuse me. Bengals allowed 25.3 points per game. And then the Browns give up 23.5. So it's a little bit closer on the defensive side of the ball. Now, you said earlier that part of the problem is that the Browns defense is just simply on the field too much. And me, from an outsider, I don't follow them every day like you do, but I see a difference maker in every level of the defense. Myles Garrett is an alien. He's a monster. And then JOK, Jeremiah Omosu, I don't fucking know. JOK. We'll call him JOK. He's a difference maker. He's one of the best linebackers in the league. And then you look at the secondary. You still got Denzel Ward. I know you're a little bit lower on Martin Emerson this year, and then Newsome as well. So it's like, man, they've got guys everywhere. Is Grant Delpit coming back?
Yeah. So he's at the end of his concussion thing where he's on the field. So if it continues on track, he's going to play. Juan Thornhill, who's been on IR who was after the first week was on IR for the first 4 weeks. It appears he's going to be back this week, but he hasn't played great since he's been in Cleveland. But Hickman's out, so we're getting healthier back there. Marty MJ Emerson. I mean, last year he had it was like it was Revis Island. We were calling it MJ Island and or Emerson Island. And if there's going to be a Bengals player that has a good game this week, I believe it's going to be T. Higgins and Chase Brown. I don't think Jamar's going to get his, man. Denzel Ward is playing at such a high level, and I would imagine that they're going to stick Denzel on Jamar to follow him wherever he goes. And then I think it's going to be Emerson's length on T. Higgins, and then you're probably going to get Newsome on like Yogi is what I would. That's how I think they're going to run it.
Newsome on Yoshi is probably going to be a problem. I think there's I like Yoshi a lot, but like there's a skill gap there. And Emerson has always been the guy where you're like, go play T. Higgins because he's got the length, like you said.
Yeah.
But this is where I look for Zach Taylor. Like this is where you got to get creative. How can you move Jamar Chase around and get him a matchup? Can you motion him in? Whatever, get him in the slot, try to get him, on a linebacker or a slower safety or something. Like this is where I think you really need to get creative because Denzel Ward can lock up anybody in the NFL. He was on the injury report with something, but I think he's probably going to play. He's just taking it easy because he's that good.
Yeah. I mean, it's like him and Miles. They get vet days. He's got some kind of lingering hamstring issue going on. He made it through all last game, so so he's just getting healthier.
But so what is the weakness of the Browns defense? Is it the run game?
Yeah. They so we spent the first half of the season without Mo Hurst. Quentin Jefferson, who we thought was going to come in and be like an older Sheldon Rankins type player. I forget how many sacks he had last year, but they put him on the inactive list last week. He's been that bad, but they did get Michael Hall Jr. back. I think that kid's going to be good as long as he can keep his head on straight. And they shut down Saquon Barkley last week.
They did.
So it was very. Yeah, that's what I think. I think Burrow's going to have to win this game, and I think he's going to have to do it throwing into Higgins because I don't think the Bengals are going to be able to run. I don't think because the Browns are getting healthy up front.
Yeah, and it seems like bad timing. But who's going to cover Drew Sample? Great question. Drew Sample anytime touchdown bet hasn't hit this year, but I will not be giving up. Profitable bet last year. Yeah, nobody covered Drew Sample, baby. So I look at Chase Brown, right? I think the Bengals didn't run the ball well last week at all. 53 yards, I think he finished with, and 30 of them were on that last touchdown run toward the end.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way you can contain Myles Garrett. Dude, I fucking hate watching Joe Burrow drop back when Myles Garrett's on the field. Like, you play TJ Watt and you're like, all right, watch out for that guy. He's a bad dude. But when I watch Myles Garrett, I'm like, just don't fucking kill the guy, dude. Right. Myles Garrett wrecked a Porsche, and his body did more damage to the Porsche than it did to him. Like, dude, damn.
That dude's a freak, man. That's
trade him.
If he were to get traded, man, we would lose our fucking mind. You follow Brown's Twitter if Myles Garrett gets traded.
Oh, there'd be riots.
It's going to be a shit show. They wouldn't.
No, I don't think so either. There were some trade rumors I saw on the internet from accounts that might be bullshit, might be not, about Zadarius Smith and the Lions. Is there any validity to that?
They lose this game, I would make that trade, and I've seen that too. I would 1,000% make that trade. 100%.
But like, no shot he gets traded before Sunday.
I doubt it. I think the Browns. This is the game, right? Like I told you, they're 1-5, but so they're going to have to win a lot of games straight. And I think this is the game where it's like, okay, if we lose this, we're blowing this whole thing up. And
Just get rid of everybody.
Absolutely. So Z going to the Lions, I might make if Alex Wright wouldn't have gotten hurt, I would have already made that trade. He ain't done nothing this year.
You might be able to catch the Lions desperate, give up a little bit more than they normally would because they've got a team, dude. They could go on a run. And Aiden Hutchinson, Michigan man, shout out, is not an easy dude to replace. But like a Zadarius Smith is probably the best guy that's going to be maybe on the trade market that you can go get midseason anyway. All right, so we've been on here for about a half hour. Go ahead.
Did you hear the play when his leg snapped?
Yeah, it was awful. Awful. I hated to see it. I don't like watching shit like that, but I did, but it was bad.
That's terrible. I hate it. Yeah, I just happened to be scrolling X and it snapped. That was nasty.
Lions fans are losing their mind over Hutchinson. Yeah, they should, dude. He's like the heart and soul of that defense. Goes to Michigan. His dad's a Michigan man. He stays in Detroit. It's a great story. Is expected to make a full recovery, though, so shout out to him. So we keep these shows for about 30, 40 minutes or so. And usually at the end, we go ahead and we do a score prediction. So I'm going to let you go first. Bengals, Browns, Sunday, 1 p.m. I'm going to probably come over to your house. We'll see how hungover you are because I know you got a big party going on Saturday. Shout out Mason, Parents' Day at Miami, freshman year. So score prediction, Bengals, Browns, Battle of Ohio.
All right. They got me for one more week. They lose this game, I'm out. I'm ready to tank. I'm ready to see who we can get. I'm ready to stockpile some draft picks. They got one more game to do it. I'm going to say Chubb has some good carries. Chubb scores a touchdown. I'm going to say Miles and the defense get after Burrow. But the Bengals are able to keep it close. I'm going 23-21 Browns.
23-21. Okay, so we're talking like a field goal is the difference. Now, I'm going to go – I got to do this because I think that if there's a time for Burrow to go up in Cleveland and get his first win in Cleveland, it's this one just with everything going on. I'm going to bank on Chubb maybe being on a lower snap count, maybe not being fully himself yet. I go back to the Bengals divisional playoff game, and it's not exactly the same on the year that they went to the Super Bowl, but Derrick Henry came back after a long absence, and I was like, man, he's not going to be Derrick Henry, right? He's not going to be Derrick Henry the first game back, and the Bengals were able to shut him down. Very, very different defense. I understand that. It's just a comparison that I draw. I'm going to bank on that. I'm going to bank on T. Higgins having a big day. I'm going to bank on Chase Brown being able to run the ball and they stay ahead of the sticks. I'm going to go with kind of the same kind of vibe as you, but I'm going to go 27-24 Bengals. McPherson gets a field goal that kind of puts him in. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be anything last minute, but I don't think it's going to be a game where we're ever comfortable looking away.
Yeah, I think this game stays close. I don't know why. Yeah. I just have this gut feeling that this is a close, actually really good game. The Browns and Bengals put on some good games.
Yeah, man, they're normally good except for Halloween. I almost killed myself on Halloween.
You did.
K Breezy says, "Great show. Thanks for sharing all the Browns info." Yeah, it's good to get the other guy's side of it. And then he says 24-10 Bengals. I would like that. I'd like to feel a little bit more comfortable.
If that happens, it got ugly early.
Yeah, I'd like to feel a little bit more comfortable at the end of the game, if at all possible. So yeah, man, he's a good follow on Twitter. He doesn't like the Bengals. He's a big Browns fan, but he's good to be on there. We appreciate you coming and giving us some of the insight. He's been my best friend for like 15 years. We don't agree on any football teams at all. Go Blue. He's going to be with me watching the game this year. I think he might try to get his revenge on me for the last three.
Got to, man. It's got to be the year, right?
I hope so. Chris Ingram, Bengals score over 30. I would love that. That would
surprise me.
And I want to bring up this comment from Breezy. We were talking about domes. He said, "Give me the domes, no pause." I love some good dome. So yeah, man, I appreciate you hopping on in here, man. It was good show. Good to give the other guys perspective. This will be out on YouTube for everybody else tomorrow. Shout out to all the subscribers on our channel that were here with us tonight. We will be back on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for a live recap show, hopefully celebrating a big win. And I got to leave you with this like I do every week. Who dat?
Your boys are ready to go. You already know. Grab a garage beer, let's flow. No filter needed, beers getting deleted. It's the Cincy Unfiltered Show. Let's go. Our boys are ready to go.